Hey, are you thinking about starting your own podcast? Well, if you're listening to mine, you know I'm brand new to all this and I couldn't have done it without Anchor. And if you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. First off, it's free. No monthly fees, no yearly fees, no one-time fee. It's all free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. And then Anchor distributes it automatically. So you'll be on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. I'm on all of them. And this is the catch. There's no minimum listenership. So I'm recording this ad right now. This is going into my episodes. Every time someone listens to it, I'm getting paid. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. So download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Hey everyone, it's Josh. I just want to take a quick second to say if you're enjoying the podcast, please like, subscribe, rate, or comment. All of those things help out tremendously. It helps me get better sponsorships, helps me get better guests. I'm able to take this on the road, more consistent video, so many different things. It's all free. So please take a second to help support me by liking, subscribing, commenting, or rating. Also, if you want, there's a donation button. I don't expect anything, but even like 99 cents, there's a couple different options a month. Helps so much. Thank you, and enjoy the episode. Hey, welcome into the podcast. Today we have Wes Anderson in studio. He talks his new single, Mind Quarantine, and that's featuring Ted Bowne, which is just an awesome collaboration. It sounds like it's really interesting as far as the subject matter. So he talks about that, going solo. He's been in a few bands and then finally saying, you know what, I just want to do my own music and try and see if I can get something going. And so far it's worked out great. We also talk about Netflix Pandemic, and I started watching that and I regret it already. So enjoy the conversation. Thanks to Wes. This is actually his second time coming in. The first time the audio was kind of messed up, so I'll release that as a B-side later on in the season. So thanks so much for tuning in, and enjoy the episode.
Welcome to the Just Josh podcast.
We're gonna shop left, I got your back, kid. I'll ask the guy behind the register a question. He'll turn his back and won't see it coming. You grab the candy from the shelf and take off running. We make a great team.
Welcome into the podcast, episode 4. Woo! Got Wes back in studio. How's it going, man?
It's going well. Thanks for having me back. Just getting things ready for my next single release, which will be in April.
And what single's that?
It's called Mind Quarantine, and it has Ted Bowne from Pacifier.
Oh, that's cool.
And
Love Ted.
yeah, he killed it. And then I got Tommy Sickles from a metal band called Nothing Face. They were pretty big in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
They're a Maryland band.
Yeah, I kind of actually remember them.
Yeah.
Remember the name. If you asked me to name a song, I'd
Yeah,
remember.
they did like Ozfest '01, if that's
Right,
like
yeah.
a frame of reference. Like they were second stage '01 with all the other, but that I actually think they were a massively underrated band, and I could go into that more later. And then actually got the bassist of my old band in Chicago to hop on the track.
That's cool.
So that was cool. We've stayed friends ever since I left, which was now freaking like 10 years
Forever
ago. So
ago.
we've kept in touch, and now we got to do another song together. And
When am I getting on a track?
every besides the Ballyhoo guys, every song has had a pretty legit rotating cast, but also not so much.
I was going to
because-
say, share the wealth, man. They're hogging all the money.
Yeah, they're just I don't know. I'm actually jamming with Donald tomorrow from Ballyhoo, and might cut a couple demos because he can record at his place now. So
Yeah, I saw his setup. He
yeah?
had just gotten he had gotten that new double bass pedal that he's working on.
right.
It just looked really amazing. Let me try him real quick. And I saw he kind of moved everything around, and now he has all the setup to do everything. I definitely want to get some of your music and what you have going out there.
My next single, because it's actually the first one I've given lyrical direction on, and it's the closest thing to like a political song I would say I have.
So you kind of told him what you were looking for to a
Yeah,
degree, or
yeah.
what you were thinking, and maybe had some of your own lyrics to throw in there. Or
Yeah,
did you just give him the story? And
I had
background?
a theme, yeah. I kind of gave him the premise, and like so the song is called Mind Quarantine. It's
That's a
actually
dope name, by the way.
thanks.
Yeah.
And it's like actually super similar to just the Sinclair, like media blast. Everyone's saying the same script.
Right.
So it's like mind quarantine. So like verse, one of the verses is like how the media is trying to brainwash you, quarantine your mind to get you to think that in a way that they want you to think, follow their
Right.
ideology, just, brainwash you essentially, which is 100% what mainstream media in this country does. Maybe not even in this country, maybe all over the world.
Oh yeah.
But anyways, but definitely in this country because that's what I can.
And I would
to.
think even more in other countries where they don't have access to the internet.
All right, and
to
it's like
look up-
government.
It's like 4 channels.
Some of it's like government run.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's scary. But yeah, so like that's like one half of the song, and then the other half is like quarantine your own mind and block out all of that bullshit and all of the media that's just blasted in everyone's face on a day-to-day basis, all day, every day. Like quarantine your mind. There's one of the phrases in there. He says, "Be your own best friend." And I thought that was like one of my favorite lines in the whole song. Is just like quarantine your mind, take care of yourself, be your best friend, think for yourself, do your own research, and quarantine your mind, block out the bullshit.
Yeah, for sure. That's cool.
Yeah, so that was the theme I gave Ted, and that's the first time I've ever worked with a vocalist and actually like presented that to him.
Right.
And obviously I said like if you're cool with it, run with it. But if you're not, I trust you to do your own thing. Like I don't want to ever like get in the way of the creative process
Right.
of those guys.
Yeah.
But he was all about it, and what he turned out was right in line with what I was hoping for, and as always, he crushed it.
Yeah. He's the best, dude. He's so talented and he's such a nice guy. I mean, couldn't really ask for much more in working with someone.
Honestly, like this has been the longest
worth every penny and more.
Yeah. This has been the longest collaboration in the works. I actually talked to him the summer of 2018 about doing this song for the first time.
Wow.
And something I've learned.
He's a popular guy though too.
Yeah, and something I learned early on, doing this solo project and collaborating with other artists that have their own bands and their own priorities is that patience and flexibility is a must.
Yeah.
And always like have other songs like in the hopper and like always like
oh yeah, for sure.
Consistently be in the studio and always having like ideas brewing and reaching out to other artists because you never know who's going to get back to you first or who's like more excited about hopping on board than others. And like so obviously Pacifier is a very aggressive touring band. He got married last year. He's got a lot going on, so I don't want to get in the way of that, but
right.
If he always said he was on board and stuff, so I was like, no rush, like it'll come together. Like I knew he was the one I wanted to sing on it, so I wasn't really shopping anyone else or trying to get anyone else. So I was like, when it happens, it happens. In the meantime, I'm just gonna keep working on other songs, and now it's finally ready to get out.
Like him and Howie, I think, are really creative in as far as their melodies, and I like that they're not strictly one genre,
right,
or thing like that. And he just reminds me of their music. Just reminds me of when people actually played their instruments, and
yeah, I mean,
and it was very simple. Like you didn't have to worry about backing tracks and all this other stuff. And even though I'm sure they use them just like every other band for certain things, because you can only have so many people,
right.
Unless you want like a 10-person band, Oh, that would be cool.
No, Pacifiers, I've always regarded them as like cream of the crop, and if you want to lump them in the reggae rock scene, I think they're more than that. But seems to be like the lane they've thrived in the most in their career.
I would never say they're reggae ever, but I would definitely say.
But I mean that's kind of where
that's what I love. I can't really describe them.
Yeah,
and I try and describe them to my friend. I'm like, just listen to them.
Yeah.
Just trust me. And I always tell them.
Yeah.
Just go listen to them and then get back to me and tell me what you think, because it's
they cover a lot of ground, and so the song we did does as well. It's more of like it starts off with like a metal riff. It's in drop D, and then it goes into more of like aggressive Rage Against the Machine style riffs, Tom Morello riffs, and then there's reggae undertones. So it's like if because Pacifier has a lot of metal influence, and I could hear that. That's why I wanted Ted, because I thought like it would be different enough from Pacifier to make him excited, but still not too like out of left field. I deliberately delay some content because the first couple weeks after a release I found are always like, you blast it, and then there's a lull. And then like about a month like 4 to 6 weeks afterwards, I like go back to like promo blasts, and I found that has like definitely helped Spotify streams and like everything else, because you can saturate your 1,000 people following if you just hit them with the same thing every time. So I think like they need a break and get sick of seeing the same shit all the time.
Yeah.
So I've kind of planned that out for a while, but.
And this new song, what kind of vibe does it have? Because I know every song is very different so far. So is this more on the rock side, the rap side, the reggae side? A mix of everything?
Yeah, I would say it's I'm calling it reggae metal. Or metal reggae.
That's awesome. I mean, it's kind of 311 had a little bit of that heavy
reggae.
I mean,
it's
on their last album.
I mean, you know me and my influences, what I'm about. So it's like 311, Rage Against the Machine with a little reggae. And, it could, like, I think past Fire fans are going to like it a lot because it's definitely reminiscent of the heavier stuff they've done. But I still think it's sort of unique just because, I wrote and produced a song, and then I got, a drummer from a new metal band from the early 2000s, and I got a bassist from another area. So there's a lot of different influences on it to make it its own sound, if you will.
I think something that we didn't get to the last time that I really wanted to talk about, though, was also, I think a big thing is that I've seen a lot of artists, either individual artists, bands, etc., that maybe stay in the band too long, or they continue down a path too long because they're used to it, or I understand that people think differently, and just the way our society's set up, we're very short term in our thinking.
It's like you're reading my soul.
Yeah, but you've been in multiple bands over the years, and then you finally decide to say, hey, I'm just going to go write and do the music I want. And through that, even though it was a big step, you've gotten to work with some big names in the band. We've already mentioned a few of them, but, just, getting to work with Peanut, King Green, Marlon Asher, Donald, Howie, JR, everyone. And, I mean, that's just something that's pretty cool. A lot of people don't think that they'll ever get that chance. And you've gotten to do that over the last couple years.
Yeah.
Whereas you've been trying to do stuff like this, I'm sure, for the last 10 years.
Yeah, exactly, man. It was scary. And I would say, like, the whole, next step as a whole was a good mix of something I had envisioned for a long time mixed with figuring out as I go.
Yeah.
Because you never know who's going to be on board to do a song. And, to get someone like Peanut, a multi-platinum artist of his caliber, on literally my second single, I was like, all right, well,
that must have been the jam.
I was like, shit, this is real. And like, so now I got to like act as such and step up the production game, step up everything else, artwork, because, this is going to be a good foundation for me to get other collaborators down the road. So I think maybe I don't really believe in luck a whole lot, but whatever it was an opportunity, and it was something that, like, nice. He smokes a lot of those too.
Peanut.
Yeah.
I would love to smoke and have them in. I mean, that would never happen. The problem, that I didn't mean to cut you off when you said that. I was trying to be secretive because I don't know if I'm going to use the video or not. So I figure, even though I did kind of hold it up, but I was just testing. I was honestly actually testing to see like how much it would. You could actually hear it?
Yeah.
Oh, I couldn't. But maybe that's because I'm right here.
No,
I don't know.
Sounded really good, actually.
That's the thing I found is when I was doing some songs, I wanted some sound effects within the songs, and one of them was a bong hit.
Yeah.
And I actually put the mic on, compressed it, held it up, and it sounded great. It sounded
nice.
sounded just like the Sublime songs.
That's what I just thought it sounded like right now.
Yeah. But yeah, no. So you've gotten to do some cool things in a short period of time, but it does take time, effort, money, persistence. I'm sure some no's, And I think I was talking with the Great Heights band. I don't think that it's that the bands couldn't do it. I just don't think they took enough steps to get the most out of whatever they were trying to accomplish.
Yeah, and
you know what I mean? Like, they won't spend the money. I'm like, yeah, it sucks, and I know you have to, but if you take the time to plan your things out and set your goals and say, this is what we're trying to do, this is who we want to work with, and then you go, you save up the money. If you have to play an extra show a week or something like that, or pick up another job or something just to get that money, but you plan it out, then you can go to the guy and say, hey, we want to work with you, and then you have that. It'll pay off so much more than
right.
spending that money on a really crappy producer and putting out a 10-song album that sounds like you did it in your basement, you know?
Yeah, I think every artist just has to ask themselves, like, what are their, what do you want out of this, and what resources do you have, and what do you want, how do you want to, like, promote it, or how do you want to deliver it to the world?
Yeah.
Because being in a band, it's like, yeah, you want to collaborate with people, but it's also like your band, like you want to build the band,
Right.
you want to build your sound. So like bringing outside people in on a regular basis could be a little complicated. But that being said, like, yeah, like in our my old band, Fiction 20 Down, we, Jordan, he spent the day with the producer David Kahn, who's done Sublime, 311. He worked with Paul McCartney. I mean, the dude's just as good as it gets. And Jordan spent the whole day in New York City with him, and he was like, "Yeah, let's work together." But it's like the cost of that was just so astronomical.
Yeah.
It's like, obviously it's an honor to have someone like that who would be A, willing to work with you in the first place, but B, it's like, all right, cool, we pay all this money, we have a really great produced record or a single or whatever. It's like, but then what? So like, you just kind of really have to like know, like, what are you capable of, musically, budget, promote, what it's just like, what do you want out of it? And like, you have to think long term and big picture if you really want to see the true value and maybe return on it, because it's
for
like,
sure.
Like I've invested a lot in this project in a lot of capacities, but I just believe that if I keep doing it, that like it's over time, it's going to pay off, because everything I've worked for has been a foundation for the next thing. So it's like, it's growing, and I see that every single day. So like, it's working. I just have to be patient, because like, I'm not making money.
Right.
That's also why I work.
I'm spending money. Yeah, but I think, bands need to be aware of the smaller campaigns that you're doing are all adding up to something bigger. So that's why you always have to keep the big picture in mind. So when you're doing the small things, you don't get frustrated or like, why?
And that's tough, man. It's so tough.
It's so tough. But I mean, writing it out, having visuals. I'm a visual person, so I like to pull up my calendar and have it. And honestly, I still wish I finally just got into using my actual electronic calendar over the last like 2-3 years.
Oh, nice.
But honestly, before then, I would still write it out, or I liked having planners and stuff like that, because then I'm writing it down as well. So it's almost like double memorization. Not only am I writing it down and sticking it in, but I'm actually physically writing it and visualizing it instead of just typing it real quick and saving it. But with everything, I'm a visual person, so I get I forget what I was saying.
But and the part of me, like what you were saying earlier about maybe wish you went your own way sooner. That's something I thought about, because I was like, shit, I'm getting all these fucking awesome people like off the bat, and I was like, why didn't I didn't do this sooner? But at the same time, I don't think I would have had the experience and also just awareness of knowing it takes time to like build, and not you can't get that immediate return in music or anything artistic or creative. Like if you do, you're one in a million or whatever, and those people that do get that immediate success or massive exposure usually don't last long. So having the decade now of experience that I have going into this, it's like that allows me to make better creative decisions, because I'm not in it for the money. It's more of like what serves the song, and if people say no, they don't want to do the song or whatever, rejections happen, it's just like I'm cool with that, because I know I'm gonna make it work somehow.
Yeah.
So you have a certain confidence, I think, that you wouldn't have if you just haven't done it long enough.
Right.
So, but having the band set in and knowing that like I gave it my all, and maybe going my own direction sooner maybe would have been better, but also like maybe not. I got that much more experience booking shows, managing a band, working with other, my bandmates and producing songs, having time in the studio and just learning that process and kind of know how it works.
Yeah. Yes. When I talk to bands, I always tell them I would like eventually for you to just concentrate on the music, but you should be aware of everything. You should know finance to a degree. You should know business to actually know what to look for in contracts. You know what I mean?
Right.
See where the important stuff is and read the small print. You need to be wary because there's a lot of people that will try and take advantage of you, especially in this industry. Because I always say that, like, being self-aware and knowing, like, okay, my stuff's not good, so what can I do to make it better? Or if it is good, it's like, okay, so now what's the next best step? Like, how can I best distribute this, and how can I brand this, and being self-aware of your things.
Yeah, and I think you can also...
If you're self-aware, you'll always get better. Again, I still take college classes. I'm going back, and they're online right now, but I do that because it's been a long time since I've done finance, and I also want to get into the analytics of spotting trends and making sure that I'm, using analytics and reading between the lines without using depending too much on analytics, I see a lot of people that look at the numbers and they're like, oh, I'm getting this many things. I'm like, that doesn't really mean anything per se. You have to read between, and it's not just with like, cities, but like, I think they read too much into their Instagram numbers and stuff like that. The only thing I care about more is Spotify numbers and downloads and the music numbers, because that shows people are listening, So it's like, okay, how can we take advantage of the people that are listening? And that's when you start breaking down different areas and
like
seeing
Spotify is really the
I don't give a shit about social media.
Relevant platform. I mean, like, no one got big because of their Instagram posts. You know what I mean?
No. And Instagram should be social media should be a vehicle to direct people to your website, to your YouTube, to your Spotify, not be the focus of spreading information.
Yeah, I see.
It should be a secondary.
Yeah, like
avenue.
Obviously
like
you want to post your content and make sure people are aware of like what you're creating, but it's also, I see it more of a way of just showing your personality and who you are, and just like building relationships with people you follow. And like going back to your point of self-awareness, I think there is a certain aspect of over promoting, and sometimes just posting a stupid meme or talking about like a new Netflix documentary you're watching like gets the best engagement. And you talk to these people and actually like go back and forth about like, oh, what'd you think about this episode or whatever. That's kind of like how you build those relationships. And I don't mean it to sound like so forced, but like I enjoy talking to people like that if it's about something I enjoy as like a fan as well. Now we can't hang our banner at the Knitting Factory because
that artists and people can thrive in the entertainment industry. I just shared something the other day where I feel like people are like, well, it's oversaturated. It's so hard to stand out. I'm like, but actually it's not, though, if you think about it, because it's oversaturated, there's a lot of mediocre and average product.
What industry isn't?
Yeah, exactly. And
there's so many people on this fucking planet. Like, what industry isn't saturated?
To me, that's an excuse.
Yeah.
It's a loser mentality. Well, how are you going to stand out, man? It's easy to stand out because all you have to do is really, I think the biggest thing is be self-aware. And if you're in a band, get your band to the point where you have a good flow and formula as far as workflow within the band, where you're not fighting, you're chasing different things, and you have the ability to disagree, but know that, okay, so it's not working out right now, let's go into something else, come back to that, whatever. You just get to that point. If you can get to that point and just concentrate on the music, but again, be self-aware, because I see a lot of people that toot their own horn and share stuff, and it's bad. Yeah, speaking of Netflix, so do you watch a lot of Netflix or no?
I do. I'm a Netflixer.
Okay.
Yeah, I just started this docuseries Pandemic. It's about preventing the next major outbreak as a pandemic is breaking out as we speak from China, the coronavirus. It's just fucking crazy. It was like,
is it fictional but based on what could happen in real life? Oh, pandemic right here.
No, it's all real life, like
it's showing
major hospitals and
right.
different biotech startups are doing to prepare for the next pandemic, which they believe is a matter of time, and depending on how things play out, it could already be here with
biggest-
the corona.
It's the number one thing that's showing right here.
Yeah, and the coronavirus, which originated in China, is like becoming a pretty big deal right now. Like literally today, there's like the Chinese government is saying there's like only 800 or so cases, which is still a pretty significant amount because there's like 25 fatalities already. But there's now people saying on social media that's a cover up, and it's a lot worse, and the Chinese government doesn't want to make it seem like it's as bad as it is. Because they're a communist government.
So why haven't the states done anything? I went to for my checkup the other day, and my doctor, or the woman she was like, "Do you want your flu shot?" And I was like, "No, I don't take that."
Yeah,
shit.
I never take them either. But now I'm like thinking,
It's not that I'm one of those anti-flu
should.
people. Yeah, I'm not one of those anti-flu people. Like I'm not one of those people that like if I had kids,
anti-vaxxer. Yeah.
No, my kids are getting vaccine, but for me, if I'm not, I honestly don't get sick that much. But when I do get pretty sick.
Yeah, same.
But then it's not that
we're
often.
We're still young,
to be
and
honest.
like it's more like
speak for yourself.
But it's more of like the super young children, elderly people that are already sick with something else.
Yeah.
But it's crazy. Yeah, there was one case in Texas already from someone that flew home from the province in China that it originated in. So that documentary Pandemic, it scared the shit out of me just as a documentary alone, and then literally waking up the next morning and just seeing the headlines about the very thing that they're talking about in the documentary. It's like, hey, it's a matter of time until the next major flu outbreak happens that wipes out, millions and maybe even more people on this planet.
Yeah. I started to say something, but then you kept going, so I was like, okay, I think he's gonna keep talking, and then 5 seconds later, you looked at me like I was supposed to respond to that, and I thought you were going somewhere with it. But I recently on Netflix, I for a while I stopped watching Netflix because I had watched everything on it basically. But I just recently watched the Aaron Hernandez.
Oh yeah, I saw
document,
that too. Yeah,
and then I watched the Kevin Hart thing because I just wanted to see all the behind the scenes stuff and like what if he was full of shit or not. But I kind of got out of it within a certain amount. I'm like, honestly, I don't really care about you, Kevin Hart.
I didn't watch that yet, but
Yeah.
I did watch the.
It's all about him cheating on his wife, and then also like all the other shit, the stuff with the Grammys or whatever, or not the Grammys.
Oh, you got
the,
like uninvited
people,
as a host.
whatever. Yeah, because the
Oscars,
comments.
maybe?
Now that I'm like, I don't blame him for that because I think again that's another thing that I'm somewhere in the middle when it comes to politics, but some people are too PC and they're bringing up stuff that he said a while ago. Although not, I understand why people get upset, but it's a joke. It's a joke that he made. It wasn't said in a mean way. He's not going around threatening people, But
my thing is if you're
know.
holding these celebrities and people of public figures
Like I don't
to
want
the same moral to such a high moral compass, like are you holding the very same people you see day to day to that compass or to that same standard? Because if you do, you probably have no friends and you don't hang out with anybody. You have no family you keep in touch with. Like we're all fucking humans. We all say some like stupid shit sometimes, and we're not always appropriate.
So I use Netflix for documentaries. I don't watch a lot of shows. I mean, I watch some shows on there, obviously, like Stranger Things and different stuff. But recently, I haven't. I use it to catch up on seasons. Like if I get into a new
gotcha
show that already has 2 seasons, but I can't watch it on my cable, or I can, but I don't want to pay for it. I'll watch it on Netflix.
You watch You?
You?
Yeah, it's like one of the more popular Netflix series.
No, I've never seen
That's a
it.
good one.
What is it about?
It's like a psycho creeper love
Oh,
story.
where he's like
he like stalks
stalking her.
Yeah,
Yeah, I haven't
you've probably
seen
seen the memes on social media and stuff
it.
of the main character Joe.
I don't know. The older I get, the like when I wish I had the same enthusiasm and like the want and the curiosity of being like 12 to 15, because I would watch everything and like use all this technology to my advantage.
But yeah, I'd recommend the Pandemic. It's got I think it's 6 episodes long. Watched the first 2 last night, I think. And
I don't know if I want to like.
it's kind of scary, especially
well,
with the whole like
that's the whole-
virus thing going on, like literally right now.
I don't think I want to, but there is a real virus.
Yeah, it's called the coronavirus from China. I can't think of the province it originated from.
How do
but
viruses originate? Like they don't just pop up though. They can't just pop up
a
out of
mutation.
nowhere.
It's a mutation. They believe this one came from a snake. It's usually from animals. Come from many different ways, like, you know, a bird flying above a chicken factory could shit in the water system, and that bird shit mixed with whatever chemicals, and then the pigs or chickens eat it, and then those pigs or chickens like eat each other's shit or something. You know, it's kind of like disgusting, but it's like, you know,
It's true.
but you know, different germs and chemicals and body parts can get combined and mutated in all sorts of ways.
Yeah, I guess so.
What's crazy is like every major flu, like major outbreak has been different. So there's no like exact same chemical makeup or genetic makeup. There's a lot of characteristics of the flu that have remained the same over, you know, centuries, but the new ones that come out are always like different. Like somehow this freaking flu virus has said fuck you to evolution. Has continued to find ways to fuck us over.
That's why I don't watch news anymore.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. Shit's gonna happen.
Yeah, but it's crazy, man, because that whole province is on quarantine. It's like no one can leave. They stopped
Good.
all public transportation, all flights. But it's like a population of like 20 million. So like, could you imagine if that happened at like in like New York City, and then like entire New York City was shut down, and you lived there and you couldn't leave, like, but you were still good.
It's a good thing
Like,
I live in Baltimore.
Yeah, like that'd be. I mean, Baltimore might even be a more susceptible city to that type
Well,
of
I
shit.
know because of DC, but I still feel like New York and DC are better, and at least I would get enough warning if it did go. I could just get the hell out, go west. You know,
Real quick.
I'd at least have a hour head start west. You know, if shit was gonna be bombed.
Yeah, but if you're in like the middle of Manhattan or in the middle of like the heart of New York City, like, you know, you're not going anywhere if that shit breaks out. That's kind of scary to think about.
I just think the way we're going as a society, it's gonna slowly start to melt down anyway. Infrastructure, it only lasts so long, and especially because nowadays things aren't built the same as well as they were in the past. You know. Thanks for coming on again. I always appreciate that. Okay, and thank you so much for tuning in to the podcast. I apologize about that awkward ending. Wes had to run, and it was so last second that I had to edit it out to where the chunk that led up to us leading out to the outro had to get cut out. So it was basically talk and then just, all right, see you later. But I want to thank Wes again for coming in because it really helps out with this, trying to make it as best as it can. I got a lot of exciting guests coming up, some bigger guests that I waited to reach out to or put out. So I made sure that I had everything going well. And so I'm excited to release those in the next month or so. So thanks for tuning in. I'll see you.